Well, good afternoon. My name is Ezra Loveland, and I serve as the Assistant Director for Admissions, Records, and Transfer Services. And today, we're lucky enough to have Matt Klein with us. He is leaving us, unfortunately, this spring semester, which is going to end in a month. But I wanted to touch base and see what are some things and advice that he can share to incoming freshmen on how to prepare for a counseling appointment. And a lot of what I'm asking him is more so, the soft skill side of it, because it's going to be different. We're doing a virtual meeting, so Zoom is going to be part of that process. And so we want to be able to find ways to help you. So I'm going to go ahead and let Matt introduce himself.
Thank you, Ezra. So yeah, as Ezra said, everything is going online, and while these meetings may be online, the soft skills are just as important. It's just as important that we're able to communicate and at the same time ask questions or whatever else it may be. So yeah, as Ezra said, I am this fall attending Bradley University, but I'm proud to have attended IVCC and the things I've learned from it. And the reason for this is I actually just went through a transfer call with Bradley, and we covered a lot of things that we thought really applied and we really wanted to share with you guys. So those are some exciting things that we're excited to cover today.
Yeah, so one of my first things I want to ask Matt is students might be thinking, okay, is this going to be similar to my high school counselor appointment? What is that going to look like? So can you share from your experience how your IVCC counseling appointment or even your Bradley appointment and how that was different from your high school counseling appointment?
Definitely. So I still remember my first IVCC counseling appointment. I was getting ready for it and everything, and I was just thinking, what should I be doing to get ready? And how is it going to be compared to my high school one? Because I'd had a lot of high school ones. And to be honest, it really wasn't that different, but there are some key takeaways. Some of those are, for example, it's college, and I'm sure you've heard that before, but at the same time, a lot of that comes onto you. And it's not to say that they're not there to help, but at the same time, you have a lot of that responsibility. So if you have a question during it, or if there's something to where maybe you just don't understand what they're talking about, sometimes there's some terminology there to where like, I have no clue what you're talking about. It might sound like a foreign language. It's okay to just say, hey, can you go over that? Or what exactly does this mean? I know I did that a couple times and it really helped. Otherwise, I really wouldn't have known what they're talking about. And I could have been signing up for classes or things like that that maybe wouldn't have even been for me. So I was really glad that I definitely asked those questions that are sometimes aren't the easiest to ask. Another thing I will say about the counseling appointment is that, yeah, it's college and stuff like that, but at the same time, they're still there and the same core principles apply as in high school, such as they're your counselor. So whether you need something with classes, whether you need something personal help, no matter what it is, or if you just have a question in general about the school, I don't care how weird a question it is, they'll either be able to answer it, or if they can't, they'll help you find somebody who can. So at the same time, they're human, they've gone through the same stuff as you, and they're there to help you.
Yeah, and that is so true. Personal counseling is there for you. It's not just the academic side of planning. It's important to know that just being able to contact them and letting them know, I need someone to talk to is really important. So, as we're also talking about, what does that counseling appointment look like and the differences, what are some things that you would encourage students to think about when reflecting about knowing themselves? So what I mean by that is, did you have to take some time to think if you're more of like a morning person versus an evening person?
Yeah, definitely. So that's a really good thing that I thought about on that was, for example, me personally, I like to get up in the morning bright and early. I like to take my classes, and then I'm able to go do other things. So I was definitely thinking about, all right, is this maybe I want to just take morning classes? Do I want to start at 8 and go all the way to noon? And then on that is IVCC also offers night classes. So I contemplated for a while taking a night class. And not only do you have the time of day that you have to think about, you also have to think about how frequent you want them. What I mean by that is it's not high school to where you have the same classes every day. At IVCC, a lot of the classes run Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, or there's some classes that run 4 days a week, or there's some that only even run once a week. So those classes that run maybe only 1 or 2 times a week, they're going to be longer classes. So maybe you don't like sitting in a lecture for 3 hours, then I probably wouldn't recommend taking a class that's only offered once a week on a Tuesday evening. Maybe the Monday, Wednesday, Friday option for 50 minutes would be better for you. That's something good to think about. And then at the same time, you have to think about, do you want them back to back, or do you want them a little more separated? I took both at IVCC. So I think my first semester, I think I had class from 10 to 11, 11 to 12, and then 1 to 2 on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. So I had an hour break, and that hour break was right before my math class, because I knew math, that's a subject that sometimes I needed a little more help in, and I knew sometimes, like whether it was a test day or quiz or something like that, I need that extra hour after those first 2 classes to not only eat lunch, but at the same time to prepare for that. And I really liked it a lot. But then most recently, the semester that I was in right now, I had classes that were all back to back, and honestly, I thought it was okay. If I could go back and pick like which one I liked better, I would say it doesn't hurt to put that little break in there if you can do that. And that's something that you can talk about with your counselor, but they're just things to think about, and maybe write some of these down on a piece of paper. Or you might not know exactly when the classes are being offered yet, but just kind of think about it. All right, my plan is I want to work on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I can only have class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Or I want to be out of the school every day by 1 p.m. If that's your plan, then just tell your counselor that and figure out how you can make that happen.
Matt, did you have any idea of what courses you actually wanted to take, or were you just ready to have the counselor tell you, this is kind of the menu of courses that you'll need to take?
Yeah, so definitely, that's a good question. Before I went into my counseling appointment, I wasn't really sure of what courses you're supposed to take in college. Part of the reason I chose a community college like IVCC was because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I knew some things I was interested in, some things I liked doing, but nothing really stood out to me at the time. There was nothing I was passionate about at the time. Before my counseling appointment, I did kind of think about those things that I was interested in, and I was like, I wonder if IVCC has something that might be similar to that. So you can always go onto their website or something like that and just look up, are there things that you could be interested in? But I think it's also important, especially if you're planning on maybe in a year or two, you're going to transfer to another university or something like that. I think it's really important to take a lot of those classes that you know they're going to transfer. And what I mean by that is your counselor will know that whether it's something called IAI or whether it's just a general core class. It's always good to have a balance. And that's what I did my first semester, was I had a really good balance of courses I knew was going to transfer, as well as things I was interested in. And I was able to learn that some of those I liked a lot and some of them I didn't like so much. And that's what's nice about community college.
Yeah, and I can even recall in my time thinking, okay, I knew math was going to be a struggle for just in general to complete for my program. And I had to make sure that I got some of the hard stuff out of the way at first to really see, is this actually what I want to go into? And then, you know, moving forward, I thought, man, the semesters got easier because I did select courses that made sense and that also were interesting to me. And then you later find out, hey, maybe that's why I want to change my major, or why I want to go into the program that you originally declared. So it's okay to not necessarily know either, but I think a lot of the times when students are presented the opportunity to take, you know, a sociology class versus a microeconomics course, you know, hopefully, you know, as you're meeting with your counselor, something kind of, you know, feels, maybe you're kind of pulled a certain way. And so it's good to have a better idea of, you know, what is that going to look like? Because we want to make sure that, you know, that first semester is as engaging as it can be, because oftentimes you're already trying to transition from, okay, I was used to the high school work. Now, you know, college is a little bit different. There's going to be a lot more work involved. So it's important to kind of know yourself in that regard as well. So what questions do you think students should maybe ask, even if they don't know that they're supposed to ask those questions? Anything that you would suggest?
Yeah, so it's always good. I mentioned in the beginning was if there's just something you don't understand, either write it down right then when they say it, or it's okay to just stop them and be like, hey, could you say that again, or what does that mean? I've done that a few times, and it may seem like a burden, but I can assure you it's not. That's what they're there for, and they're glad they get the questions. So that's number one. That's super important. At the same time, we encouraged you to, in the beginning, or I guess before your appointment, is to kind of think about what you're interested in and what works best for you, whether it's time of day or things like that. But those are always good. But in terms of questions and what you should ask your counselor, um, I don't know, to be honest. It's hard. Uh,
Yeah, and maybe it pops up during
yeah,
conversation, but it's always, one of those things that it's okay to ask questions, and
yeah.
it's something that is probably helpful for the counselor to know that you have those things on your mind, even if it's not in a question form.
Mhm.
So I'm also curious too, Matt, did you already know where you wanted to transfer when you met with your counselor, or did that develop over time?
Yeah, so in general, with me, I'm not good with making big decisions, not at all. And I had no idea. I didn't really decide until less than a year ago. It was, so it wasn't in really early on. So I wasn't really sure. Maybe your counselors will probably ask you. I know they asked me, for example, of all right, what school are you looking at? And it may seem like, oh my God, I got to give them the exact school's address at the time, and it's not that, not at all. I could tell you that for a fact. But it always hurts to know. Do you think you're going to want to go to an in-state school or out of state? Because there's some differences there in terms of what courses transfer and things like that. Whether it's public versus private. So it doesn't hurt, and I'm sure you've been told this before, is just to look online. But maybe what you could do, which this is something different, and I don't know if you've thought of this before, but maybe what you guys could do is maybe the list of schools that you're looking at now, look at the list and look at it by category. Are all of these private schools? Are they all out of state? That could be something good for your counselor to know rather than just, oh, I don't know what I'm going to go yet. So that might help, actually.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's important that those decisions come later in the year and semester, because there's opportunities for you to meet with those transfer counselors. And one thing that students kind of, I think, maybe wonder is, should I even make contact with the university that I'm thinking about going to? And that is absolutely make contact with that transfer counselor immediately when you know that that's where you want to go. It's very important to start that relationship early, because not only are they going to provide you, an enrollment step on their side of things, but also you can have those conversations with your IVCC counselor about, my transfer counselor at XYZ University mentioned this might be helpful to take. And then your IVCC counselor can assist you in making sure that that is the right route, especially if you're considering a minor or anything like that. So I think that was really helpful, Matt, as far as sharing tips and knowledge of what students should expect.